So I'm pretty sure 99% of people watching this video have heard of the Wooting 60HE. Well, I reviewed it a few months ago and all things considered I was super impressed. The typing experience surprised me by how good it was for a dedicated gaming keyboard, though compared to a custom keyboard, there was room for improvement. In this video, my goal is to showcase all of the upgrade potential for the Wooting 60HE. Before we begin, I want to let you know that this video was sponsored by Wooting, who provided all of the parts free of charge for the purpose of this review. However, rest assured all opinions you hear today are completely my own and unbiased. I'm going to be providing you with several sound tests throughout the video, but let me start by giving you a sound test of what the board sounds like in stock configuration. Let's kick things off with the heart of the keyboard, the switches. This is where you'll immediately notice the difference in both sound and feel. By default, the 60HE comes with Lecker L60 switches pre-installed, and as someone who prefers a lighter switch, I was excited to try out the L45s. The difference between the two switches is pretty self-explanatory. The force required to bottom out is 45 versus 60 cm. So, after comparing the switches side by side and doing a full L45 install, you really don't get a sense of how heavy the L60s are until you try the 45s. If you suffer from any sort of hand or wrist fatigue over longer typing sessions, or gaming sessions rather, I'd recommend starting here. They're considerably lighter, and although subtle, I actually prefer the sound that this swap alone provides the 60HE. Could you hear the difference? Now, I don't have any fancy testing equipment, but I would say if you make use of a sensitive actuation, say anywhere between 0.1 and 0.4 millimeters, I could see the lighter switches being harder to control. At the very least, it might feel different, so I would bear that in mind if you're thinking of swapping. Next up, the polycarbonate switch plate, which I'll be swapping in to replace the original steel variant. There's a number of benefits that come along with using a polycarbonate plate, from a softer typing experience to a lower frequency sound profile. A little hint at what's to come, but it's also potentially a necessity in a metal case in order to not have those pingy noises from both a metal plate and case. The plate also comes with a layer of silicone that I'm going to be installing, which is hopefully going to give the board that talk that we all love. Enjoy this sound comparison between the steel and the polycarbonate plates. So I really enjoyed the difference this plate change brought to the typing experience on the 60HE. In my opinion, it really softened up the typing experience from the slightly more rigid experience you're getting with the steel plate, and paired with the lighter L45s completely transformed the enjoyment level I got from typing on this keyboard. I opted for the silicone pad rather than the foam for this build, and I think the silicone definitely lowers the pitch again and does give the board something of a sound profile that resembles a talk. Okay, moving on to possibly the biggest and most exciting change you could potentially make to your 60HE. Wooting have also sent me over their Alame 60 metal case. If the plastic case just isn't cutting it for you anymore, or you want to think about making the 60HE your all-in-one daily driver by making it more premium, this might be the good upgrade for you. The packaging is reminiscent of the original 60HE packaging. Firstly, you get a sleeve containing a layer of foam, and you will need to use this foam over the foam in the plastic case for spacing compatibility reasons, followed by a sheet of force brake rings and the Alame's case itself. You also get a stealthier Wooting strap, which I'm definitely going to be installing, finally followed by a couple of accessories: standoffs, spare case feet, and a strap attachment. We need to prep the Alame's case before we can swap across the internals. Firstly, you can remove the screw holding the accent piece down. Then install your standoffs before applying the force brake rings, inserting the foam, and you're good to go. It's super straightforward to swap out the cases. Simply remove the keycaps shown on screen and you'll be able to access all the screws. This will free up the internal sandwich where you can then just slot it into the Alame's. Lastly, I've gone ahead and installed the side strap. So yeah, this is near enough the final form of my Wooting 60HE, and I don't think there's any denying how nice this looks. The metal case really does add a level of quality to a gaming keyboard that really has no right to feel this good. I do have to say though that the metal case does stiffen up the typing experience again, but you might be able to offset this by replacing the silicone layer with the foam layer. I haven't actually tried it. It's not a deal breaker for me because the typing experience is still a lot nicer than it was at the start of the video. Enjoy this sound test of the Wooting 60HE in its final form. Now, for the final upgrade, and as you all know, in order to use tachyon mode to get the ultra fast speeds, you need to use the included Wooting cable. But that might just not be everyone's cup of tea. That's why I've got this coil cable from Wooting themselves, and most importantly, it works with tachyon mode. The cable comes nicely packaged with a load of parts: a PHG to USB-C coil cable, PHG to USB-C straight cable, FGG to USB-C long cable, and finally, USB-C to USB-A dongle. Straight away, this cable feels super premium. It's braided and has super bulky connectors, and there's plenty of colors you can pick from if you don't like this stealthy one that I've gone for. Okay, so I want to sum up all the upgrades I've done in this video and really provide some insight into which, if any, upgrades you should consider for yourself. Personally speaking, the upgrade that made the most measurable difference to my day-to-day enjoyment of this keyboard is the Lecker L45 switches. It really made using this keyboard beyond gaming much more enticing, with a far more satisfying lighter typing experience. The Alamaze case is definitely a close second, just overall enhancing the aura of the keyboard. But I have placed it behind the switches because were I to only be able to change one thing, I would choose the switches. Briefly on the polycarbonate plate, I did also enjoy this change, but I feel like it's one of those ones that more casual people would say they can't tell the difference between. So I'd be hesitant to recommend spending your money on it unless you know exactly what you're going for. Finally, I'm a massive fan of the coil cable. However, for me personally, I could never justify dropping $50 on something like this. So hey, if money is no object and you fancy it, go for it. Otherwise, the normal Wooting cable works a charm. Now, with all that said and done, you might be wondering where the performance benefits of any of these upgrades are. This is a competitive keyboard after all. Well, I don't think any of these changes are going to make a measurable improvement from the gaming features the 60HE already packs. So yeah, that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider dropping a like and subscribing. Your support is greatly appreciated and it's free to do. Another huge thanks to the people over at Wooting for making this video possible.